We are hearing SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. Yesterday we heard that Yudhishthir Maharaj decided to Maharaj Yudhishthir was intelligent enough to understand the influence of the age of Kali, characterized by increasing avarice, means greed, falsehood, cheating and violence throughout the capital, state, home and among individuals. So he wisely prepared himself to leave home and he dressed accordingly. Thereafter, in the capital of Hastinapur, he enthroned his grandson, means Parikshit Maharaj, who was trained and equally qualified as the emperor and master of all land bordered by the seas. Then he posted Vajra, the son of Aniruddha, grandson of Lord Krishna, at Mathura as the king of Shura Sen. Afterwards, Maharaj Yudhishthir performed a Prajapatya sacrifice and placed in himself the fire for quitting household life. This we heard. Jnana Agni. Gyan is, all these relations are temporary. We have to wake up from this. Worldly relations are all temporary. But there is eternal relation with Krishna and with all jivas in relation to Krishna. That we have to realize. And this son, this Vajra, maybe this is same Vajra now. I think so. The one who installed Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Govinda and Radha Gopinath. On the description, I think of Uttara. So one deity, I think Madan Mohan is, yes, from feet till navel, it is same as Krishna. Then Govinda Dev is from navel to here to face, same as Krishna. And Gopinath, his face is same. So if you get darshan of all these three deities in Vrindavan, means now originally they are in Jaipur, then you got darshan of Krishna, same. He is. These three. That is Bajranath, grandson, great grandson of Krishna. So this we have to understand. Jnana-agni, we have to put in our heart to remove this illusion about these worldly things. Maharaj Yudhishthir at once relinquished all his garments, belt and ornaments of the royal order and became completely disinterested and unattached to everything. Here Srila Sai Maharaj is commenting, to become purified of material contamination is the necessary qualification for becoming one of the associates of the Lord. No one can become an associate of the Lord or can go back to Godhead without such purification. Maharaj Yudhishthir, therefore, to become spiritually pure, at once gave up his royal opulence, relinquishing his royal dress and garments. He, the kashaya or saffron loincloth of a sannyasi, indicates freedom from all attractive material garments, and thus he changed his dress accordingly. He became disinterested in his kingdom and family, and thus became free from all material contamination, or material designation. People are generally attached to various kinds of designations. The designations of family, society, country, occupation, wealth, position, and many others. As long as one is attached to such designations, he is considered materially impure. The so-called leaders of men in the modern age are attached by national consciousness, but they do not know that such false consciousness is also another designation of the materially conditioned soul. One has to relinquish such designations before one can become eligible to go back to Godhead. Foolish people adore such men who die in national consciousness. But here is an example of Maharaj Yudhishthir, a royal king who prepared himself to leave this world without such national consciousness. And yet he is remembered even today because he was a great pious king, almost on the same level with Personality of Godhead, Sri Ram. And because people of the world were dominated by such pious kings, they were happy in all respects. And it was quite possible for such great emperors to rule the world because they have that qualification. So, Rupa Goswami, you know, he gave that definition of bhakti, quoted from Narad Pancharatra, Sarva Padavi Nirmuktam Tat Paratan Nirmalam Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. First, one has to be free from all material egos, designations, that is called upadi. I am Kshatriya, I am Brahmin, or I am engineer, I am man, woman, all these things. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. Not only muktam means free. Narad was not satisfied, saying muktam. Even nirmuktam means thoroughly free. Even with the word nirmuktam, he was not satisfied. So finally he said vinirmuktam. Totally you have to be free from all false egos. Totally. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. Then tatparatvan nirmalam. You have to understand, Gyanis, they will also give up worldly egos. I am not of this world. I am Brahma, I am spirit. All-pervading spirit. Impersonal, formless, that I am. I am that. But that is not pure stage. That is also impure conception. One has to realize the absolute truth that we belong to Tat. Gyanis, they will say Tattvamasi, you are that. But the real meaning of this mantra is Tasya Tvam Asi. You are his. Tasya Tvam Asi. His you are, like literary. Tasya Tvam Asi. So Tat Sarvopadi Muktam Tat Paratvena. You have to realize you belong to him, to Krishna, because we are his marginal potency. We are eternally connected with him. We are emanating from him. So that relation is eternal, it is not fictitious. Gyanis they are not aware of, but it is there. So one has to realize this, we belong to Krishna, we are his eternal servants. Then you are pure, nirmalam, without any impurity. So before one gets such purification, one cannot engage in pure devotion to Krishna. when one will understand, then after that, Supreme Lord is the master of all senses. When one realizes that, then he will engage all his senses in the service of the master of the senses, that is Hrishikesh. That will be called bhakti. It is not so easy. You will find verse in Gita and also in Bhagavatam, also Chaitanya Charitamrita. Among many, you will find, it's very rare to find one Krishna Bhakta. The person who is really doing everything for the satisfaction of Krishna. It is not so easy. We may do some devotional forums, but for some purpose, to get some desires fulfilled or something. But one who actually does for him, who realized his eternal relation with Krishna, that is very rare. Among many liberated souls, they're very rare. You will find one Krishna Bhakta who is fully happy. But still it is possible to get, by the grace of Krishna and Guru. First we get that seed of devotion. If we cultivate, then we can get that. And here Srila Sai Maharaj also said that even you have this national consciousness. Here I remembered that Mahatma Gandhi, here he is meant, because Swami Maharaj told no. Foolish people adore such men who die in national consciousness. But here is an example of Maharaj Yudhishthira. When our Parangurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhava Goswami Maharaj, was in Assam, then one politician became very much attracted to Parangurudev, and he invited him, and Parangurudev said, I can come to you under condition that you will hear Harikatha. And he agreed. So once he told, I like your Harikatha very much. I think you are just like Gandhi, because Gandhi will first speak some lecture, and at the end he will engage everyone to chant the holy name of Supreme Lord. So I think you are like him. Then Parangurudev, because that person already had faith in him, so he said, if you don't mind, if you will not become angry, may I say something to you? Then that person already had faith. He said, yes, you can say whatever you like, openly, you can tell, I will not be angry. Then Parangurudev explained to him for his edification, means for his knowledge. He told, I was in the Gandhi's freedom movement, independence movement. I was a member of that before joining Gaudiya Math. And I used to read magazines published by that movement. So in one English magazine, I read one lecture of Gandhi. He said, I am ready to give up chanting of Ram name, Ramdhun. Even this I'm ready to sacrifice for the sake of my country. I'm ready to sacrifice even this. Then Parangurudev said, but we are just the opposite. We are ready to sacrifice our country and everything for Ram, not opposite. So there is a big difference. One may, now I'm saying, Parang Gurudev told him this, our Gurudev explained, there is a big difference in chanting. We see both are chanting name, but what is the underlying consciousness or point, that has to be considered also. Otherwise, it will be nama aparat. We are trying to use the name for some worldly purpose. And if that worldly purpose is fulfilled, then we will give up that chanting. If it is not fulfilled, we will also give up because it is useless. But real devotees, they are chanting holy name for Krishna's satisfaction. That is eternal. You will never give up chanting. So he said we are just the opposite, because absolute Hegel, German philosopher Hegel, he said you have the absolute is by itself and for itself. Otherwise he cannot be absolute. These two qualities he must have. He is by himself, he has no any other cause. And he must be for him, for it. He said it. But our Parang Gurudev said, we are not saying it God, we are saying he God. God is by himself and for himself. So if we are not for him, we cannot have contact with him. That is why Rupa Goswami said that verse, Ata Shri Krishna Namadina Bhavet Grajyam Indriya. One cannot realize transcendental name, form, attributes, pastimes of Krishna with these material senses, with the process of ascension. By our own effort, we will realize. Sevonmukha hi jivado swayameva spurta. When one will be inclined to serve Krishna, then Krishna willingly, by his own will, he will reveal himself to that person, the one who is inclined to serve. Then a real name will appear. Otherwise it will be Nama Bharat or Nama Bhas, but not real name. So by that chanting you cannot get ultimate goal of life, which is Prema. Prema you can get only by chanting pure name from this relation. Sarva Padavi Nirmuktam Tat Paratananirma. For him, it must be for him. Otherwise it will not be. So here Sai Maharaj is telling, they have national consciousness. I am Indian, I am American, I am Slovenian. This is all impure. You cannot chant holy name with this type of consciousness, and they will die in national consciousness. But real devotee will die in Krishna consciousness. He will always serve Krishna. That name. You will find once they asked Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhardev Goswami Maharaj. The Mahaprabhu told he will not take food in anyone's house if that person does not chant 1 lakh Harinam. 1 lakh means 64 ounces. Then they were asking, then Sridhar Maharaj said, this is not the only teaching of Mahaprabhu, and it cannot be isolated from another point. If someone only physically thinks, I will physically count this number of names and then I will be qualified to invite Mahaprabhu, that is wrong. Because there is another teaching of Mahaprabhu also, Nir aparade nam loile pai prema dhon. One has to chant without offenses. Means for the satisfaction of Krishna. So he said not only physically like this, and he said if someone is doing physically only, thinking this is like a tapasya, but without that proper attitude of service, then that may produce some diseases also. I heard from my Gurudev also, he said same thing. If you will be disbalanced, not properly doing and forcefully chanting too much, as some physical and for some other alternatives, then you may get diseases also. And Ramachandra Bhagavan, he killed that Shudra who was doing tapasya. They are not allowed because they are doing for other purposes. So it is not enough only to say, I chanted 64 rounds. No. Ek lakho also means it must be one aim, one target, ek lakho, one target, one aim, that is meaning, one view. That is for Krishna. If we are not doing for him, then we have no contact with the Absolute, because Absolute is by himself and for himself. We will have no contact with the Absolute unless we are for him. If we are not in service mood, cannot have. There is a difference between Nama Parat, Nama Bas, and actual name, pure name. So we have to first understand this by the grace of Shastra and bona fide Guru, this proper Sambandha Gyan, knowledge of relationship, that I am not of this world. If I do any kind of devotional forum with the ego of this world, that will be karma, not bhakti. So first I have to give up all these worldly egos and understand that I am eternal servant of Krishna. Then you have to serve him in that spirit, in that attitude. That is why Sadhu Sange Bhai Nam Bahire Kogunoi something, Jagananda Pandit said, in association with non-devotees, no name will come. You have to chant in association of devotees, means for, then we will have that proper attitude to serve Krishna. But otherwise, if non-devotional attitude is there, name will not come. It will be only alphabet. Akar, he said, Jagananda Pandit. Will not be real name. So we have to understand, we have to receive the grace of Shastra and Sadhu to become inclined to serve Krishna, or with the knowledge of this Sambandha Gyan, eternal relation, Sarvopadi Vinirmukta, then you can chant for him. So here, national consciousness. Gandhi was always chanting Ram name. But what for? Not for Ram. Because he himself told, I am ready to give up chanting of Ram name for my country. But Parangudevik said, no, this country belongs to Ramchandra. It has to be sacrificed for him, for his service. Everything belongs to him. You will find in maybe Katha Upanishad, because it is in 2 Upanishads. Same verse. Our Gurudev used to repeatedly say, because it is very important point. Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo Namedaya Namahuna Shrutena Yam Evaisha Vrindatina Labhyas Tasyaisha Atma Vrindatinum Swam. One cannot attain Supreme Lord by giving lectures. by having great intellect, or even by hearing much Shastras. Only one whom Krishna, Supreme Lord, will choose, to him he will reveal his transcendental form. He must choose. It is by his will. So whom he will choose, but in Vedanta Sutra this question is there, then is he just picking, like to whom he will reveal? No, because there are other his instructions in Shastra. He's telling, if someone will surrender to me, then I will reveal himself to him. So it means he's choosing the person who surrenders to him. To him he will reveal himself. Means those who are following Bhakti Yoga. He is asamordva, no one is equal, no one is superior to him. So to attain him, it is possible only by his will. If we could attain him by our own effort, then he will become equal to us or inferior to us. We can control, but no one is not even equal. What to speak of superior? So by his will only we can get him. Following his will, surrendering to his will is Sharanagati. That is basis of devotion. So only to one who will surrender to him and serve him, he can attain him, absolute bliss. Otherwise it is impossible. By own this. If someone hears Shastra even, but for the sake of gathering some knowledge, not for the sake of becoming inclined to serve Krishna, to surrender to him, if he does not practice the point of Shastra, that is Sharanagati, he cannot attain Supreme Lord. He may memorize all Upanishads or Vedanta Sutra or Bhagavatam, Gita, all verses he may memorize. Still he will not get that realization unless he practices that, means surrender. And Krishna has to choose because no one is equal to him. His will is supreme. Bacham juhava manasi tat prana itare chatam mrityau apanam sotsargam tam panchatve hya johavit. Yudhishthir Maharaj, then he amalgamated all the sense organs into the mind, then the mind into life, means prana, ayu, yes, life into breathing, apanam, his total existence into embodiment of the 5 elements, and his body into death. Then as pure self, he became free from the material conception of life. You will find in Upanishads also this description when a person is dying, even like by karma, how these functions gradually from outside, they will go inside, they will be, and then he has to give up this body. Everything is described, and then again in new body, they will gradually come out in child. But those who are yogis or devotees like Yudhishthira, they willingly can do this by practice. And they release themselves from this misidentification. It is Vacham, Juhava, Manasi, breathing, prana, yes. Mind into prana. It is described. Mind goes into prana. And here life into breathing. That is apanam. Yes. There are 5 pranas. Actually, it is one chief prana. And then it is divided into 5 prana. Each has some function in the body. So by this some prana, you give up this body also. Some is for digestion, some is for this, one is for giving up. Existence into embodiment, yes. Yes. 1 second, I'm reading. No, here it is not mentioned. I think you will find in Brihat Aranyaka Upanishad or Chandogya Upanishad, this process is explained, everything, how it is going on. No scientist can know this by this worldly observation, because Atma is transcendental. Although it is said that Atma size is like this tip of hair, you divide like this, but that is only for the sake of understanding that it is very small. But Atma is transcendental. You cannot measure by any material measurement. Atma is beyond gross matter and beyond subtle matter also. You will find in Gita 5 gross elements, 3 subtle, and beyond that is Atma. Atma is not material thing. That is why no weapon can cut, you cannot divide, in Gita you are reading, that is transcendental. Therefore, you cannot get realization of Atma by any material instruments. It is impossible, because it is beyond comprehension, beyond limits of all this. You cannot have, you may have contact, some are more psychic, like this, they may have contact with the subtle body. They may detect something, but not with the Atma. Atma soul is transcendental. Nitya Nityanam Chaitanya Chaitanam, like Paramatma. You cannot realize Atma, that spirit, without spiritual process. Either by Gyan, that Jnana Jog, you can realize spirit, which is beyond this gross and subtle matter. It's categorically different. But by devotion, you can realize the Atma's form and relation with Krishna and her eternal activities in the service of Krishna. All this you can realize. But in any way, by any material instrument, by any mental speculation, imagination, or any psychic, all these things, you cannot have touch with the soul. Soul is beyond these limits, because it is beyond time and space of this world. So you cannot photograph it or like this. That is not possible. That Atma, never was a time when Atma did not exist. Why? Because Atma is existing beyond this material time. It's above. And never will be the time when Atma will not exist. And it is blissful by nature, but small bliss. Atma has small bliss because it is small. And he is a person, and he has relative independence. If Atma wants to enjoy this world, then will be covered and self-forgetful. But if she accepts service of Krishna, then she will get that service. In eternal form, will get that service. But you cannot get that realization without spiritual practice. Like Swami Maharaj said, life comes out of life. He challenged scientists. You say life is coming from matter. Then you prove it. You are scientists. You don't believe anything which is not proved by experiment and observation. Then you show me. You make life. You say you're scientists, but you are believing and hoping or like this, theoretically speaking. You show me. This Krishna consciousness is scientific. It is based on experience. That verse is there in Gita. You can get direct perception of the self through realization. If you will follow that process, then you will realize. I can give you that realization, provided you follow that process. Then you will understand what is life. It's eternal. So, if you claim life is coming from matter, then you prove it to me. Like you heard when our Parangurudev in the 30s, he was brahmachari that time, but realized so. So there was a Janmashtami 1 month festival in Calcutta, Bagbazar Gauriya Mat. So different dignified persons of Calcutta, they were invited to those programs to preside there or to be as a special guest like this. So some students of world famous Dr. C.V. Raman, you will find him on Wikipedia. He got Nobel Prize in physics. Very famous all over the world. His students, they said, why, to Prabhupada, why you didn't invite our teacher? He's world famous. Then Prabhupada said, I don't mind inviting him. I will invite him. Then he sent our Parangurudev to invite him. Parangurudev is brahmachari, maybe white cloth that time, but he's not ordinary person. So he came to that Dr. C.V. Raman in laboratory. Then he said, I am from Gauriya Mat. We are observing Janmashtami festival for 1 month. So we are kindly inviting you to also come and preside over the meeting, a special guest. Then that Dr. C.V. Raman, he challenged. I don't believe in your Keshto Bishto. That is derogatory saying Krishna Vishnu. Keshto Bishtu. I don't. Yes. So he challenged. I don't believe in that. What I cannot perceive with my senses, that does not exist. Then, he said, can you show me your God? Then I will come. If you cannot show me, then why I will waste my time? Then Parangurudev said, they were in laboratory and one side was wall and behind that wall was North Calcutta, no windows. So Parangurudev said, if I would say that beyond this wall, just because I cannot see beyond this wall, if I say there is nothing beyond that wall, would that be true? Because I don't see that. Then that Raman said, with certain instruments I can see also, even beyond this wall I can see. Then Parangu said, yes, but all those your instruments also, they have some limitations. So beyond those limitations, to like just say there is nothing beyond, would that be true? Then he said, you don't waste my time. If you will show me your God, then I will come. Can you show me your God? First show me your God, then I will go. Then Parangurudev said, if your students, actually it was their desire to invite you, if your students would say to you that we will study under you if you first show us what you realized. Then he said, no, that is not possible. I cannot show them. First, they will have to study physics up to master degree. Then, after that, they will have to study with me for another 5 years. Then they will be able to see what I realized, what I understood, what I invented, or what I saw. Then Paranguri said, you see, then can Indian saints not say the same thing? If you follow the process by which you can get realization of God, then you will get. How you can see before that, following that process. Your students also, you cannot show them your realization. In physics, it is this worldly realization you cannot show them unless they follow that process. So Indian saints say same thing. So before you made experiment, because scientists, they are making experiment, before you made experiment with that process, how you can say whether it is there or not? First you make experiment. If there is no God, then you can say there is no God. But before making experiment based on what you are claiming there is no God, first follow process and see yourself. Then he was silenced. He said, yeah, I don't know anything about Krishna, what I will say there, like this. He was silenced, because it is true. So Sai Maharaj challenged them. He told, you are claiming you are scientists, that you believe only in experimentation and observation. Then why you are claiming life is coming from matter? You show me by your experiment. You make. I can show you my God. I can show you what is life, what is Atma. I can show you, because this Krishna consciousness is a scientific process. You can realize, but you have to follow that process. So there in Upanishad you will find that description of how this is going on, because Krishna created this world and all the things, how they are going on. So how Jiva enters into body, how the functions they start, and how Jiva gives up this body, who knows? Krishna knows. So he can describe. So descriptions are there, but we have to realize also. Also there, we will find there are 101 nadis, like channels. So when Jiva gives up body, Atma, then she will go into one of those channels. And if she will go into 100, then she will have to be reborn. But if she will go into 101, 101st, then she will be liberated. Only that one nadi out of 101, one nadi, Jiva can be liberated, can go through this here, out, Brahmarandra, this on top of. Only one. Then there is question how she will know. The Krishna will reveal to him in his heart for those who are surrendered to him. They will get that knowledge into which nadi to enter. So which scientist can detect by any material instruments, very fine or grow whatever, they cannot detect transcendental Atma and Paramatma. Cannot. They may have contact with gross and subtle matter, like subtle body like this. But Atma and Paramatma are totally beyond that. And how everything is functioning by Atma and Paramatma, we can come to get this knowledge only from Shastra. And if we follow the process of Shastra, spiritual cultivation process, then we can realize. Otherwise it is not possible. Without following the spiritual process by any instruments and these things, you cannot get in touch with Atma. Atma is self-effulgent. So only through surrender. Tritve hutva cha panchatvam tachaikatve juhon muni sarvam atmani ajuhavit brahmani atmanam avyaye. Thus annihilating the gross body of 5 elements into the 3 qualitative modes of material nature, he merged them in one nescience and then absorbed that nescience in the self, Brahman, which is inexhaustible in all circumstances. This is also here Sai Maharaj is translating into English, but in Upanishad you will find that Avyakta, Mahatattva, Tamas, all these like stages are mentioned there, how it will gradually go. So here, all that is manifested in the material world is the product of the Mahatattva Avyakta. Yes, but there are yes. How it will gradually go till you reach transcendental platform. Then absorbed in that nescience, all matter will go into matter, but a real self, spirit, will emerge out by that spiritual practice. Chiravasa niraharo baddha van mukta murdaja darshayan atmanorupam jaron mata pishachavat anavek shamano niragat ashrinvan vadiroyata. So getting this realization, after that, Maharaj Yudhishthira dressed himself in torn clothing, gave up eating all solid foods, voluntarily became dumb, and let his hair hang loose. All this combined to make him look like an urchin or madman with no occupation. He did not depend on his brothers for anything. And just like a deaf man, he heard nothing, totally aloof from this whole world, because he has internal life. That is different thing. Only one who has internal life, he can actually renounce this external life. Otherwise it will be hypocrisy. Only theoretical something. Yes, there is some spirit, I am not matter. No. When one will, through that process, means devotion, in Kali Yuga you can get this by Harinam, but you have to properly chant with attentiveness, otherwise you will not get result. With attentiveness, then one can get that realization that he is beyond this material energy, and he will get that internal life of service to Krishna. Then it is quite natural for him that he will not be engaged in anything in this world. And he will be totally unconcerned, undisturbed, and like this. And he may act also like a madman, so that others will not. So that is why Krishna in Gita told, what is night for materialists is day for transcendentalists, and what is night for transcendentalists, it is day for materialists. When there is night, we are all resting. We are not doing any activity. But when there is day, we are active. So in this way also here, not day and night, but means that internal life, transcendental life. Transcendentalists, it is day for them, but it is night for materialists. They have no idea about that. Totally no idea. Cannot have. And what is day for them? Materialists, they are whole day and night, they are only working for material acquisition. This is all in all. The more I get material things, better it is. So they're all the time working for that, for material things. But that is night for transcendentalists. He is totally uninterested in that. Why? Because he has internal life. That is different thing. And that is blissful thing. This is all the time disturbing thing. So Yudhishthir Maharaj got that by the process. We can also get if we seriously accept the process given by bona fide guru. So tomorrow we will hear from